welcome back to DiamondTrail Ranch. In today's video, I'm going to be walking you through one of the most important parts of growing healthy, productive tomato plants. And that's going to be turning the water on first. I'm just kidding. That's what I'm doing over here. It's going to be how to properly prune and support your tomatoes, especially when growing in containers or pots. These ones over here to the left are going to be the ones I'm talking about first in these pots. Now, I don't know about you guys, but out here in Florida, the temperatures are already 94 degrees and pushing, I feel like is 110. So you're going to want pruners of some sort. You're going to be clipping low there, typically below the flowers. You see the yellow flowers on this plant? You're going to be clipping down there. In the pot, and then potted ones, or if they're not in the pot. I'm also going to be pulling out these various weeds that are growing in the pot. I use compost, horse manure compost here on this property. So unfortunately with that, you're going to get a lot of various seeds. And we have chickens, free-range chickens and squirrels and rabbits, and then wild rabbits that are all over the property. So you're just going to find seeds all over the place. So you'll just be picking those out of the bottom so the root systems don't compete with your tomatoes. Anyway, as I was saying, you're going to be pruning here like this. There is another method you can use. You can rake your fingers down on all sides, kind of gripping it lightly if you have stronger tomato plants like these. And you can just rake your hand right down it, and it will also take care of your extra stems there. But you do want to be careful because you can actually peel off and cause a wound on your tomato. So I'm using a simple pair of these garden shears to prevent that. It is always a good idea to disinfect your tools before you prune. This is pruning, this tool here where I'm clipping. That's what that's called. So you're going to be trimming the stems just below the first set of flowers, as I mentioned, because everything below that point is using up energy that could be redirected toward fruit production. When we prune those lower stems and those suckers that you can see kind of pointed off into at a 45 or 90, typically a 45 degree angle in between the stems there, you help the plant focus its strength on growing tomatoes, not just more leaves. Nitrogen is also another way to increase leaf growth. So if you don't want more leaves, don't add more nitrogen to them. So again, you want to completely disinfect your tools beforehand, especially if you're working on multiple plants, to avoid spreading any diseases. These ones here, God bless, they're perfectly healthy and fine so far. So I do have some others that need some work. I'm going to be doing another video on those. They are next in the actual garden, not this side garden. I know this one is a garden as well. It's got, various collards right there you can see, and mustard greens and the spider plants and peppers and corn and things of that nature, cucumber and squash. That's all in this front garden too. But we're talking about spreading diseases here with the shears, so you want to prevent that. You can use, and how do you do that, right? Well, you can use rubbing alcohol or a bleach solution and just give your your pruners or shears a quick wipe before you start. So you might be wondering, if you haven't been paying attention this whole time, what exactly should I cut? Great question. You want to look for the suckers or the leaf. See how I have it going up pretty high up there, honestly. So these are the little shoots that grow out of the space between a leaf and the main stem, like a V shape, like I mentioned, the 45 degree angle there. If left alone, they'll grow into a full branches and compete for nutrients. This is the suckers we're talking about. So on determinate varieties, you do want to prune less aggressively, but for indeterminate tomatoes, you can go ahead and remove most of the suckers, especially the ones near the bottom. And the leaves near the bottom, and these weeds, please make sure you pull them out. The weeds, obviously, like I mentioned, for root, fighting over root space. The leaves, though, if they're touching the ground and they can stay wet, and that can cause more disease as well. So you don't want that. you want to cut the lower leaves so you prevent that. The ones closest to the soil. It's really important for disease prevention because when you water your plants, like I said, or even if it rains, that soil can splash up onto those leaves and introduce fungal diseases. It's a better way of redundancy to make sure you understand what I'm talking about. Clarity. Removing that bottom foliage or those other weeds down there, you create better airflow. I mean, that is phenomenal. When you get the airflow you're looking for on these plants, that helps them dry, you know, they get that absorption from the sun. It lowers your chance of blight and other issues. Pruning is one of those small things that just really adds up over the season. It makes a world of difference. I like to support the root system here or the whole plant in general, when I'm pulling up the excess weed roots there, because I don't want the roots to dig up with the tomato underneath it. So pruning can really feel counterintuitive at first. Actually, it's funny I mentioned that because I just got a train of thought there. Some people actually drop their loose trimmings into the pots that they're already in or around it, because they'll compost and the nutrients will go right there in there. The nutrients will go into the soil with them. Little food for thought, play on words there, right? You know, cutting away part of a healthy plant, as far as feeling counterintuitive, it can seem that way, but I promise you guys the benefits outweigh, you know, the thoughts there. I use these sticks here to help support them. With the sticks and pruning in general, you'll end up with sturdier plants, better air circulation, and bigger, more flavorful tomatoes, especially with the stakes and the pruning. Now again, we're going to talk about the supporting the plants for a moment, which is just as important. These tomato plants are in pots. These ones here, I'm done. You know, in the pots, that can mean they can get top heavy very fast as the fruit starts to grow. The weight can actually cause stems to bend or break if we don't provide proper support. And that's not even just pots. I actually kind of find the other way around. I get them top heavy in the regular garden too. So I'm using a simple staking method here. You can see we've got these wooden stakes. These are just bamboo poles and some scrap sticks you find around the garden. Don't worry about fancy equipment. Just make sure your stakes are sturdy and tall enough to support the plant as it grows. You can clip them to the tomatoes. You can just stand them in these pots and have them kind of lean. I like to put them in the direction it's leaning to help it just support there. Or you can tie them with any kind of string or, you know, yarn, whatever, loosely. You want to place the stakes a couple inches away from the main stem and then gently tie it to the stem using soft garden twine, like I mentioned, or even strips of old t-shirts, which is a unique vibe. Anything that won't cut into the plant as it grows will work. You want to tie it snug enough to hold the plant upright, but loose enough to allow for a little movement and growth. As the tomato plant grows taller, you can keep adding ties every 8 to 12 inches. This keeps the plant growing straight and reduces the risk of branches breaking under the weight of the fruit. In the container, this kind of upright support is even more important since you don't have the ground around the base to offer natural stability. Supporting your tomatoes also helps keep the fruit off the ground, which reduces rot and pest damage. In the long run, this leads to a cleaner harvest and healthier plants overall. When I'm working, I always take a quick moment to check the plant over, looking for signs of pests, aphids, caterpillars, anything unusual like spots or yellowing leaves. Catching these early is much easier than dealing with a full-blown problem later on. When I finish pruning and tying off each plant, I always make sure to give them a good drink of water afterward. Pruning can stress a plant slightly, so watering helps them bounce back quickly. Just be careful not to overwater, especially in containers. You want the soil moist but not soggy. Good drainage is key. How often to prune is up to you, once a week, twice a week. I want to thank you guys for watching this video. It's pretty straightforward and pretty simple about pruning, why we do it, and stakes for support. Thank you for watching DiamondTrail Ranch.